Hey, new idea indeed. Anyways, guys, it's your dog, the Dark Sonic Arthur himself, Trigger Studios, today with a special upload of my first, you heard it right, first What If commission video. A unique what if idea that I've actually never heard of before. What if Sonic was raised by the Wisps, sponsored by Etheria X213 on Patreon? I'm the type that likes to do a bunch of what if ideas nobody's done before, if you saw my what if list back in the Q&A video. So this is going to be an interesting one shot, especially with some of the notes Etheria gave me to go off a little bit. So let's just dive into it. Starting our story off, first is the premise, aka what a dog is going to have to do to change for this what if to actually happen in the first place. Because as easily I can just throw this dude Sonic in space and just have him chilling there on Planet Wisp the whole time, there has to be a reason why he's there in the first. So let me see if I can make this work really. You know, the premise I'm about to say itself being a what if idea if you really think about it, but let me season really quick. First, this will take place in a timeline where Sonic is extremely young, you know, Instead of growing up on South Island, this Sonic is born and raised in a town that's very close to the mythical Little Planet, the celestial body only coming over Never Lake once a year. Sonic here without a family and being a combination of a naive and a bit of a troublemaker, you know, kind of like part 1 Naruto, would travel to the planet seeking thrills and honestly a bit of a purpose in life, since this is Sonic pre-Sonic 1, so a bit more moldable in personality. Unbeknownst to our hero, he's conveniently decided to take a visit on the same day the planet would be leaving into orbit. So like a toddler, and after having too much fun in the surrounding zones, it's not too long till the Hedgehog realizes that not only has the planet left Earth, he was in space, alone, by himself. While a hero attempts to shave this off with his usual cocky nature, this Sonic is still a child, so it's not long till the loneliness and unrest gets to him. No friends, no family, and alone, just like back on Earth, truly believing no one can help him out here. Well, no one we would expect. As throughout the little planet's 1 year long rotational orbit passes by a particular planet of an alien race of peaceful yet powerful creator. The mother Wisp hears these cries and her maternal instincts kick in immediately, visiting the nearby little planet herself and having plenty of children in her own right, deciding that she wasn't going to leave a child in need by himself like that. So eventually, when the young Sonic wakes up to find himself in lush green fields, he's confused then scared when all of a sudden thousands of eyeballs are staring at him, with an even bigger pink eyeball creature looking directly at him, accidentally bumping into one of the creatures when all of a sudden he changes into a boost, dashing himself into a rock and hitting himself before the fusion is undone. A serene but firm voice then reaches Sonic and everyone else on the planet. The mother was already reading that Sonic was a pure soul, only wanted to make sure that he was okay or not. She could actually send him back to his own planet if he wanted to. But what really changes the Hedgehog's decision is when the Wisp he accidentally fused with, he finds out his name is Yacker, creeps near him with a fist bump, a new environment, powerful friends, and maybe he'll stay here for a bit, check out the place a bit longer. I mean, he had nowhere else to really call him home. With it not being too long till the fastest thing alive is essentially adopted by the mother Wisp. This finally being the trigger of getting our Sonic on Planet Wisp, with Sonic developing a relationship with the alien race here with Yacker, Mother Wisp, and the rest of them. So let me actually delve into what will change Sonic and his relationships here. Well, first off, obviously, Sonic here actually has a parent. The Mother Wisp as shown through my planet, you know, growing up on Sonic Colors DS and Wii, probably the closest thing besides our own main characters to being like a mortal with godly powers, essentially creating her own planet and race, taking blows from Super Sonic and teleporting people and planets. Sonic here with his abrasive nature would have to get used to actually having a parent around, being told what to do, what not to do, and being the most hard-headed of all her children. But here, Sonic truly getting the family and technically friends he always wanted to have at the end of the day. Sonic here would actually be forced to mature a little bit more than the original, be a bit more sociable, as you can see, kinda like in my Scourge series. As here, not only would Sonic be able to speak Wisp, so no need for that whole translator junk and colors, but slowly be able to have an affinity for Hyper Go-On energy here instead of Chaos energy, since he wouldn't have as much of a connection to it in this time. And low-key here, Sonic being a bit of a mama's boy to be honest. But Sonic's maturity here has a purpose. For point number 2, I don't think I can clarify this enough. Sonic here would win the world record of the most siblings a person has. Sonic basically being adopted as the big brother of the Wisps of the planet, and when I mean by every, I mean every Wisp, getting into many sibling splats, fights, all of the kind you would expect with siblings around. But Sonic, even behind all the taunting, still loved his oversized family, especially with its close kinship with the actor especially. And Sonic here many times fusing with all 17 variations of the Wish, which I think slowly would build up the hyper go-on energy in the Hedgehog himself due to his adaptable nature. By the time we get to the classic area, being able to mimic a variation of the powers a little bit, but especially having an affinity for laser and drill, which would replace the usual spin dash and insta shield movement here. Strangely though, as though Mother Wisp was very powerful in her own right, she instilled in all her children to stay away from treacherous space groups like the Metarex or even the Black Arms. Eventually though, mimicking his own mother's empathy for other planets, is not long till Sonic can sense a disturbance from way back on his original home planet, eventually begging his mom to let him go check out the home world for himself. Seeing the determination in his eyes and also seeing that his son was mimicking her own protective nature in a way, she allows it. But not only if the actor and a couple of his siblings tagged along too, all of them having the same sense of adventure that their eldest brother shared. So kinda like Whis and Beerus from Dragon Ball, Sonic and his siblings are beamed back to Earth to investigate. This being a timeline with no Sonic around, the devious Doctor himself at this point I believe would have already taken control of most of Earth. Only problem is him never finding out that there's actually 7 Chaos Emeralds instead of 6 here, believing that he had all of them essentially. Only meeting resistance from Gun and maybe this little freedom fighter group that was starting to grow, being led by the strong and stern Mighty the Armadillo alongside some other friends we may know, touching down in the events of Sonic 2 before a two-tailed fox is taken for roboticization. Sonic coming through with a spike fist to drill, freeing the fox, which amazes the two-tailed genius, as this Tails was probably going to be on the verge of going a more negative path himself. With this and his own innate color power, him and his siblings, it's pretty easy. It doesn't take long till Eggman's empire is wiped clean, Sonic's uses of burst with his siblings, blowing back the villain's main bases, before rocking it in for a spikes to finish off the Doctor's contraption. Through this, getting some notoriety, being noticed, and making friends with Mighty, who really appreciated the help, not expecting aliens to be their saviors this time. As the two would become fast friends, since the serious and Mighty greatly matched the sense of responsibility that Sonic had now. No way was he letting this guy get away. Sonic here having a less keen on having Eggman around for entertainment, so the 3 solos. Botnik here throughout the rest of the classic games is pretty much cooked. Every wonders of his plan in this area is unable to be matched by Sonic, who literally is turning into rocket then hover combination to destroy Eggman's spaceship into the Death Egg here. All of the changes are positive, as doing his own research of Sonic a little bit and him seeing that he has a tie with aliens, instead of Metal Sonic being built here, the rotund professor decides to fight fire with fire, looking back to his grandfather that did something very similar. Project Shadows awakened way earlier than normal here, us having a Sonic 3 and Adventure 2-ish mixed arc being the climax here as the 3 heroes face off against the ultimate life form. Sonic's Wisp powers was giving him a tactical edge here than just the regular classic Sonic, but this Sonic still lacks experience. So it's not long where honestly after a mid-diff fight, Shadow uses the Wisps to his own advantage and as hostages to quickly defeat his faker. Eggman being pleased and quick to distract the Hedgehog and Wisps of their strange new energy. Here's the thing though, these creatures had a mom, and a very angry one at that. So when Robotnik eventually looks up to see the angry visage of a gigantic Wisp staring down at him, while Shadow is then overwhelmed by hundreds, no thousands of Wisps, it's bye-bye Eggman. Robotnik here being flung, no, yeeted off to the other side of the universe, kinda like what happened in Generations. The mother here being glad to see her boys was okay and feeling empathy for Shadow, sensing all of internal anger and rage, he helps get Shadow's memories back here, having a lot of guilt, while also mimicking her son's sense of vigilantiness, especially seeing that the Hedgehog's connection to the Black Arms was very apparent. Shadow actually ends up temporarily joining the Wisp family here in the stars, so Shadow could reclaim his past. Us essentially having a Planet Wisp vs Black Arms arc here, as the 2 Hedgehogs work together to fight against the demonic race, where without any Chaos Emeralds for Black Doom to take advantage here, he's quickly bodied by the 2 Hedgehogs and their Wisp friends. Thanks to Sonic's influence, an evil force in the galaxy was already taken down early, eventually returning back to Earth, where Shadow, with a new sense of purpose here a bit, reluctantly joins the newly formed Team Mighty, alongside the now inspired Tails, the Black Hedgehog having a bit of strong respect for the Wisp-raised Hedgehog, all eventually returning back to their home planet, Sonic being scolded a lot by his mom for all the trouble that just happened, but glad they are home safe. Transitioning to the modern area of this story, having a good Shadow early and no Eggman around makes Earth mostly peaceful, even with small events happening like the accidental revival of Chaos or the Mischief Adventures' early appearance of the Zeddy, but they're all taken down by Team Mighty through their bonds and inspiration from the galactic Blue Blood. Sonic during this time skip gets a little bit of a positive feedback from his adventures here, getting more and more of a grasp of his Wisp powers, being able to now somewhat replicate all of his siblings' powers, even in some instances of anger, being able to somehow use 2 or even 3 Wisp powers at the same time, blowing the minds of Yacker especially. The mother Wisp knowing it wouldn't be too long till the eventual power she saw in the Hedgehog would awaken. At this point, it isn't a surprise to see many Wisps inhabiting other foreign planets, all of them following the same adventurous spirit of their big brother here. Unbeknownst to them, their time of peace would eventually end. The mother Wisp was sensing a shift in the galaxy. Sonic, when visiting his siblings many times, suddenly found many of them purple and forcefully changed, them having their hyper-go-on energy drained and turned into corrupted versions like the Nega or Frenzy Wisp. Many of them feeling scared and a bit embarrassed to face the rest of their family now, which just angers the galaxy's biggest big brother even more. But it wouldn't get any worse than the invasion of Planet Wisp not that long after. The terrifying metallic force, having now learned from the defeated Black Arms and their new scientific mind on their side, aids in stealing hyper-go-on energy throughout the universe. Sonic, Yapper, and the rest of his siblings are overwhelmed on their home turf when Metarex use color powers of their own against the family, leading to not only the planet's downfall but the kidnapping of the Mother Wisp, with Sonic and Yacker being the only one on the planet teleported to Earth for safety. Sonic here for the first time feeling the same desperation he saw back when he was a kid, but with Earth friends to back him up, this can change, especially when all of a sudden they have a new Seedron refugee, Cosmo, who also crash lands seeking both the Wisp-raised Hedgehog and Ultimate Lifeform for the same issue. Here with us basically getting a Colors and Metarex Arc hybrid, with the Blue Typhoon being built to fight against Eggman's Metarex Empire, with numerous times throughout the adventure, Sonic and Yacker losing their cool multiple times, and fights where Mighty and Shadow are the ones who have to fight Sonic to keep his friend's head on straight. Strangely though, as more of Sonic and his siblings gather together, the more they can feel their connection to their mother has been corrupted in some sort of way, which gives them all more determination. Finally, we reach the climax of the arc, when our heroes are pitted against the malformed and further transforming Dark Oak taking over planet Aquarius, but alongside him is a villain we all recognize, Dr. Eggman, and the Nega-Wisp contraption from Sonic Colors. Even with Earth's heroes transforming into Super Shadow and Mighty for the first time into his own super form, they still struggle. Sonic really wishing he could help right now, almost feeling like he had the potential to transform, but just couldn't. Here, just like at the end of Sonic X, commits to sacrificing herself for her friends, but isn't able to due to the Doctor's genius, revealing his true plans as all of Planet Wisp feast their eyes on a corrupted version of their mother figure. But this just angers the galactic race, as just like in the DS game, with all their collective energy all fading in towards their mother, fighting through all the asteroids and debris on the way, Sonic could finally grasp it now, with all his family moving as one, as the call for all their color names begin to surround: Spikes, Rocket, Bomb, Frenzy. Just like in Colors Wii, both more potent than any other power on the battlefield. Finally, Sonic transforms into the dubbed Aurora Sonic, or Unlimited Sonic as suggested by the sponsor. Sonic mimicking all the powers flawlessly but also exponentially, definitely surpassing their mother and Wisp power capabilities. The transformation even getting the small attention of other deities in the Sonic universe. The power of family reaching for the star purifies the mother Wisp barely, as the hyper-go-on energy is depleted from the battlefield. The mother, seeing what has happened, can only see one way to beat this corruption. For the first time, her fusing with a creature, Cosmo, both with the desire of serenity and able to wipe out all essences of the Metarex and changing the ending of the arc here, but it did come at a cost, with all of her hyper-go-on energy being used up as well to bring everything back to normal. our heroes returning back to our reformed universe a little bit, kinda like the ending of Mario Galaxy. Even Eggman was back here, but he's quickly taken care of and arrested by the angered Shadow. The Mother Wisp and Cosmo were nowhere to be seen, sadly, but they are met of a sign of hope as a visage of them relays that her energy may be gone, but she is very proud of what her son became. Tails telling the Hedgehog that he could notice that he could use every color powder now, essentially being as good as the typical fusion. And strangely too, he was currently the highest source of Hypergoon energy on the planet, as all of his siblings would look towards their adopted brother for guidance on what to do next. Where most would expect the Hedgehog to show sadness, he strangely shows a determined look then smile to calm down the nerves of the Wisps. While he may not know what kind of power he has now, wondering if their mother would ever regenerate back, he didn't care how long it would take, how far they would need to reach in the stars to look for her and Cosmo. One day they would all be together again as a family back on Planet Wisp. Taking temporary leadership of the Wisp while on Earth and a new unlocked power to discover, which is a good thing too. The many inevitable villains ready to test the Wisp-raised Hedgehog from all matters of time and space. As this is where I'll be ending this story off for right now. Yes sir, that's the first What If commission completed. I hope you guys enjoyed, especially Etheria X213, the man who commissioned this. Hopefully I cooked a little bit to your liking. I kinda, enjoyed this unique What If story, as I mentioned earlier. This idea is actually not that bad, and it got a lot of nostalgia out of me since this junk was part of my childhood along with Sonic X and growing up with Flash games. Back to business though. If you enjoyed this What If and would like to commission your own, the Patreon is right there. I'll be changing things a little bit. Instead of it always being just a one-shot video, just like how I've seen what my fellow What If YouTubers feel like you'll be subscribed for many months to come, you could end up having a series instead of a one-shot. I'm gonna start leaving these stories more open-ended like he be doing. Make sure you guys tap in now because I will be increasing the price as time goes on. The YouTuber I just mentioned does the same thing I'm trying to do, but with no editing and double the price. And this junk did take a lot out of me. This video ended up being way longer than originally planned. So I just wanted to let you guys know. Anyways, that's all from me. Call me Algorithm Few. I will be dropping that Dark Sonic completion next week, hopefully, before my hiatus. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed rest of your day.